Today's story is about a husband who got cheated on by his wife while he was working away from home, and how he thoroughly punishes his cheating wife and her lover. My wife's affair is already confirmed, and we're planning to have a mutual consent divorce, but I wish I had known about this online forum sooner. Let me give you an example. I got a job assignment away from home and asked my wife to come with me, but since she also had a job, I ended up going alone. I was supposed to be back in 1-2 years, and even though it was a transfer, it was only about a 5-hour drive away. So I often went back home on long weekends. At the end of last year, I exchanged holidays with a colleague. So I had a long weekend and thought I'd surprise her by showing up suddenly without saying anything, and headed home. I arrived around 2 p.m. and as soon as I entered the house, I noticed something was off. I can't really explain it well, but I just felt something was wrong. In the bathroom, there was a men's razor. It wasn't mine. There were many toothbrushes for some time ago, so I couldn't tell which one was suspicious. Laundry was hung to dry in the shower room, and I found men's underwear. I was now certain my wife was cheating. I called my wife's and my own parents, saying I suddenly got a long weekend and I came back home. Would you like to have dinner together? And had them come over to explain the situation? My father-in-law was at work and said he would join us as soon as he finished his work, so only my mother-in-law came. My mother-in-law freezed for a few seconds. My wife came back home in the evening, and she was aghast at everyone including me gathering, and got panicked strangely. I said, "Give me your phone," and took it, and read her messages. They were all from a man, and there was even a decisive one saying, "I remembered your naughty voice and it made me hard at work. I can't wait to do it again." I felt bad for my mother-in-law, but I read it out loud. My wife was crying and incoherent, but after 7 p.m., the guy came back home. My wife yelled leave, but I told him we needed to talk and had him join us. The guy seemed to immediately grasp the situation, and readily spilled about his relationship with my wife. When he said, "I also have a girlfriend I'm planning to marry, so this wasn't a serious relationship for either of us. Please don't take it too seriously." My father-in-law got furious. My wife, who apparently thought she was his only one, started cursing at the guy in gibberish. "This is crazy. Are you okay?" I told my wife's parents luckily we don't have kids, so I think the discussion will be about divorce, and had them take my wife back with them. I made the guy reveal his identity, and gave him the choice of having his parents come or his boss does. The guy's parents came to pick him up, and I told them including the guy, "Let's discuss compensation another day." My parents said something about divorce, but they didn't say anything more than that. So then what happened? When I said I was thinking of contacting the guy's workplace, the guy and his parents brought $30,000. Saying please just pretend none of this ever happened. Please, really don't do it. His job is a public one, they said, so I backed off on that. Now I think that was too lenient of me. I heard things from my wife's parents like she was just lonely and got tricked by a bad guy, please forgive her. And your wife is so shocked she stopped eating. If you don't forgive her, she might waste away and die at this rate. In fact, she was hospitalized for 3 days, and my mother-in-law really blamed me a lot. I want to divorce. My wife is against divorce, and she's reflecting. Her parents say they'll keep a close eye on her so she never does anything stupid again. Well, with things like this, we have to go to family court. Did you make any written agreements about that money? If you're going to court, you should ask a lawyer if that can be considered compensation. Is your mother-in-law an idiot? If I were you, being blamed like that would make me want to divorce even more. I have nothing to do with the guy anymore at this point. In exchange for accepting the money, I deleted his contact info on my phone. And agreed not to go to or contact the guy's workplace or parents' home that I made him reveal. They also deeply apologized, saying we fully understand that we are in the wrong, but please cut all ties for the sake of our son's future. I don't have a lawyer, so apparently my wife and I each go to the court and discuss with the staff there to reach an agreement. My wife is having a fit saying she can't go to court because she's still barely eating the minimum. When I said you don't have to come, but are you okay with just my demands going through then, she said she'll come. My mother-in-law, thinking her daughter will die at this rate, has been coming to my transfer residence apartment for days, apologizing and asking me to forgive her. This is mentally draining too. Is it common for the betraying side to act like the victim? Despite the guy barged into someone else's family and ruined 2 people's lives. His parents have the nerve to say, for the sake of our son's future, if I were you, I'd throw the money back in their face at that point. With the guy, I thought if I was too persistent, he might start claiming intimidation or something. Anyway, I really wish I had known about a place to talk like this sooner. The $30,000 was compensation for his affair, and that's leading to divorce. How about asking to claim additional compensation? If he complained for a minute, you could report his affair to his workplace. Even if it's their own fault, it's a big enough deal to ruin their lives for the wife's family, isn't it? Compared to that, the guy is back to his life as before with only $30,000. I see, I'm still too gentle. Well, I have the guy's info saved separately, so not that I can't contact him at all. Compensation for the divorce, huh? I mean, if I'm gonna try to squeeze money out of them, it's better to get a lawyer. If an amateur like me does it and they claim they're being threatened, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. Well, this is really helpful. My mother-in-law should be coming to apologize soon. The husband, stirred up by the viewers, despite being swayed by the guy's parents before. I sent her back home. Words like restraining order or PTSD never came up at all. The most I could say was, every time I see your face, I'm reminded of going out to eat together with everyone, including my wife. And it's honestly painful. Mother-in-law also cried a lot, saying I'm sorry for my stupid daughter. This is about all I can do. I know my daughter is an idiot. But it's painful for me too to see her on the verge of death right now. I don't think you'll forgive her just because I apologize. But I can't sit still. Every time I refuse, but every time she brings food she cooked. I feel bad refusing, but I can't accept it here either, and it made me feel really depressed. She said my wife will have to be seriously hospitalized if her weight continues at this rate. It's an unpleasant feeling, but I at least got a promise that my mother-in-law will stay by my wife starting tomorrow. If she was going to lose her husband and be so hard that she was on the verge of hospitalization, why would she have betrayed him? How old is your wife? Our ages are me 34, wife 29, guy 28. Did you sign any documents when you accepted the $30,000? If not, return the money and sue the guy. I didn't do anything like sign any documents when I got the money. Their attitude was like, they were in the wrong, so please take it. Of course I haven't used it. And the next day, based on the viewer's advice, the husband takes action. Good morning. Reporting on yesterday before work starts. I called the guy's parents home and said I decided I can't accept the $30,000 after all, so I'm returning it. The guy's father started consulting frantically with his mother. That bastard. The husband. He's returning the money. What? Something like that. I overheard his mother saying we can somehow manage up to another $20,000. Seems like they're planning to settle this situation by adding $20,000 to make it $50,000. When I said I'll come to return it, they said we'll come to you. So it wasn't the guy's money. He didn't feel any pain because of using his parents' money. They're coming on Sunday, adjusting to their convenience. I decided to punish the guy. I don't know any lawyers personally, so I'm going to contact a law firm I found on a website during my lunch break. Would it be better to go with a lawyer that offers consultations at City Hall or something? There's no rule that lawyers won't accept you without a referral, right? Thanks for yesterday. Alright, well done. Find a lawyer somehow and let them handle things from now on. For your wife's family too. You had your life completely ruined, so it's only fair that they face appropriate consequences. And the next day. Good morning. Reporting on what happened all of yesterday. The lawyer that I was introduced said the first consultation appointment would be next week. But I insisted I really wanted to talk today because I was returning the $30,000 to the guy's parents on Sunday. But he couldn't make time on Friday, so the consultation is on Saturday, today. No calls from the guy. There was a voicemail from my mother-in-law. She's not eating much today either. She'll be hospitalized before the weekend, just in case. The same hospital as before, and I got a report about the hospitalization. Today I'm consulting with the lawyer. Things can move surprisingly fast when I take action. Good work. I'm falling for you. Your mother-in-law is annoying. She's trying to appeal to emotions to get leniency. Leave dealing with your in-laws to the lawyer too. And 2 days later. Work is over, good evening. Short report. I've met the lawyer for the first time on Saturday. His opinion as a lawyer was that recently there's a lot of talk about suing over affairs. But going to trial causes damage to the other party but also various kinds of damage to oneself. Just because you go to trial doesn't mean the $30,000 you received will turn into $60,000. At most you'll get $15,000, means half of that, and lawyer fees will be as well. I'll have to take many days off work for the trial. It's tough mentally and physically. First, I was told, why don't you settle for the $30,000? I told him I didn't want any money. I want the guy to face social sanctions. The lawyer said that thinking was very dangerous too, and if I trampled on someone's life, I could even face the danger of being attacked. The other side won't stay quiet either. They'll harass in various ways or retaliate using people. There's nothing more frightening than a person who has lost everything. He also said that if they committed suicide or something, at worst, everything I eat for the rest of my life would taste bad. I said my life has already been trampled on, and I've been already a person who has lost everything. Then he said that, well, let's think of a way within the range of not driving the other party to the edge of a cliff. I contracted the lawyer. The lawyer and I met the guy's parents on Sunday. Only the guy's parents showed up on Sunday. When I asked where the guy was, they answered he couldn't come because of work. I introduced my lawyer to the guy's parents, thinking the guy is a government employee though. The guy's parents turned pale. I can't accept the money you gave me before. I threw back at them saying I'm returning it. Please forgive him. Could you somehow settle this peacefully with this? As I expected, they added $20,000 to make it $50,000. The lawyer said, we don't consider suing your son at this point. But as you can see, your son himself couldn't come today either. So please take this back with you today. With the lawyer's casual word, the guy's parents quickly put away the money. For me, I want to meet and talk with the guy. My wife is hospitalized now, but I intend to discuss divorce. We can't make it as a married couple anymore. When I conveyed this, the guy's parents said, we are truly sorry. Please don't think such a divorce for our stupid son, they deeply apologized. The conversation won't progress at all at this rate, but it just kept repeating, I don't want you to apologize, no, we're really sorry. Somehow I got them to take back the $30,000. They got the most flustered when I asked the guy's parents if he was engaged, while saying not to corner them and not to make people unhappy. The lawyer told me it seems like they're most afraid of making a crack in the guy's family and his fiancée. It's not something I can say as a lawyer, but if I were you, I'd find out who the fiancé is, using a private investigator or something. He advised me. But as a lawyer, his final word was, you must not make people unhappy. The lawyer sounds good. It seems like he'd cooperate, saying like, well, this is just me talking to myself. Going back to Saturday, I told my wife's parents that I got a lawyer, that I want further communication to go through the lawyer. And said I'm considering divorce, but not immediately because of my wife's health. Please tell her when she feels better. There's no way I can tell her that now, she cried. What are you going to do if she dies? She blamed me. These words fit the best, huh? You reap what you sow. I have the guy's workplace, home, and parents' home, so I think finding out about the fiancé will be easy. Just tell him you were referred to me. And he'll do it right away, he said. He even told me the name of a private investigation firm. I'm off on Monday, so I'm thinking of going tomorrow. The lawyer said he would stop me where he has to as a lawyer. I don't want a single penny from the guy. Instead, I've decided to socially sanction him. So I might not get the $50,000, not even a single penny, but that's fine with me. Even if they thought I've changed my mind and they offered more money, I won't accept it. Some people might feel icky accepting money and then punishing. I'd rather choose either one. I was also told to choose either money or social sanctions. If I taken money and told his boss and company to get him fired, he might commit suicide or I might get killed. He said no need to make someone hate me that much. And the next day. Good evening, reporting right away. I went to consult with the private investigator the lawyer introduced me. I made the appointment during the day. Just like my company, they're headquartered in a regional city, and the investigator's office here is a branch. Of course, they can investigate in the area the guy's fiancé is likely in. I contracted right away. First, 1 week. Report in 1 week. I was told the whole investigation would probably be finished within this week. An envelope with registered cash arrived for me at the company in the afternoon. And by express delivery. When I received it, there was a letter in an envelope and a piece of paper. The paper said, "I wanted to make sure this got to you, so I took this way." The letter had 10 pages and said, "Please forgive me. I still love you. Please forgive me. I love you. Please forgive me. I love you. Please forgive," and so on. In thin, shaky handwriting with stains here and there, seemed like it was written while crying. Another page in normal handwriting, it said I did something stupid because I was lonely. Over and over. The letter was from my wife. I think the handwriting on the registered cash envelope and a piece of paper was my mother-in-law's. It really bummed me out. What's more, some words like "please forgive me," "it hurts," or "please forgive me," "I want to die" mixed in with the "please forgive me," "I love you," so I ended up reading it all. She doesn't realize the innocent husband is suffering more. Her brain is totally set up for her own convenience. But there was one concerning thing. It seemed like my mother-in-law called my boss and said my daughter is sick and on the verge of death. Send my son-in-law back immediately to the city where our home and hospital located. Give him time off. At work, my boss said to me, "Your wife's in a bad state, huh? Take paid leave, I'll adjust your work," he said. I don't know how much the boss was told, but she did something troublesome. I plan to return the letter as is through my lawyer. Opening it is my fault, but apparently it'll be like I didn't read it. My lawyer looked it over and explained the contents to me verbally. And I'm returning it as I won't accept it. Call your mother-in-law and say, "What kind of harassment is this?" Sorry, my mother-in-law came, so I have to interrupt the conversation. Your mother-in-law barged in? Run away. And the next day. Sorry for the weird interruption in the conversation yesterday. I'll just report and go home. My mother-in-law came. I had decided not to let her in my house, so I just said, "Please go through my lawyer. I have nothing to discuss with you directly." But she seemed quite angry about me hiring that lawyer, yelling, "Why did you get a lawyer? You trying to kill my girl by divorcing? Come back with me today. Go see my daughter with your own eyes." It was awful. I contacted my lawyer, but his schedule didn't allow him to rush over. While that was going on, the neighbors called the cops, and police came. The police, my mother-in-law, and I talked at the front door. They said since it's causing unease for the neighbors, it's a family matter, so settle it peacefully. I said we're discussing in preparation for divorce, but my mother-in-law said there's no divorce, so the police seemed like getting nowhere too. I asked my friend who rushed over to somehow take my mother-in-law, who kept saying to come back with her, to a nearby station. And I had my friend make sure she properly got on the train. What's with this mom? Too awful. She forgets her daughter is the one in the wrong. The mother-in-law is an idiot too. Doesn't she get that it's impossible to fix things in that approach? Shallow mother and daughter. And the next day, the guy's side contacted my lawyer. The content was, "How much money would you be satisfied if you've hired a lawyer to demand an exorbitant amount? We're prepared to hire a lawyer too." My lawyer said to him I'm not demanding any amount, and that the lawyer is only to handle the divorce with my wife. It seems the guy's side would be troubled by me divorcing my wife, and asked how far the divorce discussion have progressed. But apparently the lawyer refused, saying he can't answer that. Obviously. And the guy's side said they want to talk again, so they want a time to do. They'll come here on the weekend. For me, I'll get the info of the guy's fiancé on Tuesday, so until then, I don't really have anything to discuss the money or anything else with his side. But apparently he wants to avoid getting unnecessarily suspicious when I refuse to talk to them because it'll just be a hassle. So I'll meet the guy's side on the weekend. My lawyer said he didn't feel any sincerity because the guy himself didn't come. Then apparently the guy himself wants to properly apologize. Of course, the guy himself is supposed to come. And 2 days later on Saturday morning. Nothing's really changed but reporting in. It's about my wife's discharge from the hospital on Friday. She contacted my cell phone from a payphone without going through the lawyer. The plan is to discuss the divorce next week with my lawyer after seeing how it goes. The guy's side is coming tomorrow. I don't know if they apologize profusely or offer money. I explained to my boss that I hired a lawyer and was discussing in preparation for divorce. I asked my boss that if my mother-in-law contacted the company, please convey that and refuse her, since I've told her to contact me through my lawyer. My mother-in-law hasn't come since the police got involved. I've learned my lesson, but she would have too. And about 10 days later on Wednesday. Sorry for the long silence. I think I don't talk since around when I have the guy's fiancé investigated. As I expected, the guy's fiancé's parent is a higher-up at the guy's workplace, a public institution. I won't give specifics, but about 3 levels above the guy's direct boss. As soon as I found that out, I contacted the guy's fiancé's parent. It's old-fashioned, but I had a letter sent. I thought it might get treated as a prank, but they contacted me right away and met to talk. They apologized profusely. I asked them to stop apologizing, saying that was not why I contacted them. The reason for the engagement was apparently the daughter met the guy at some party and started dating, and it led to an engagement. Of course, they said they had no intention of having their daughter marry a man who broke up someone's family. Aside from the undetected affairs, it is forbidden to have an affair that has been detected, so while he won't be fired, his prospects for promotion are likely shot, they also said. Honestly, I thought that if the fiancé loved the guy than he did her, they might actually get married as it is. Even though they said they would break up for the sake of me. A few days later, I got a resentful call and knew they really did break up. After consulting with my lawyer, I temporarily moved to a serviced apartment to ensure my safety. I'm still looking for a new place to live. As expected, the mailbox of my previous house was vandalized with sand poured in. I changed my cell phone too. Apparently my lawyer also got a nonsensical call saying I'll sue, but when he firmly said go ahead, the other side hung up. Then the guy's side offered, please don't take legal action, along with $30,000. After discussion, it settles. And I agreed to have nothing to do with each other at all. I took the $30,000 too. The discussion with my wife is only progressing bit by bit. It might not just be a mutual consent divorce but have to get the court involved. So the engagement with the guy was broken off, serves him right. The sanction on the guy has completed, right? But the wife not agreeing to mutual consent divorce is. Good work. Are you doing okay mentally and physically? I'm healthy except for a cold. The harassment was predictable from talking with my lawyer, and more than anything, the guy's identities are known to us. And he was probably afraid that if he did conspicuous harassment, he might get arrested, so it was just stuff like putting sand in my mailbox. I had to move because I made the fatal mistake of telling the guy's side my address. I'm curious what excuse the wife, who let him living apart together, gave. Is she still going in and out of the hospital? My wife hasn't been hospitalized again after being discharged. I heard from my lawyer she was lacking nutrition and had a lot of white hair like an old woman. Physically moving has made it impossible for my mother-in-law to barge in, so I feel at ease. I'm at my transfer residence apartment. My wife is at her parents' home and the hospital. $30,000 of his side was probably from his parents. For me, I did what I wanted to do, so the amount and source don't really matter anymore. Since your wife was discharged, have you not talked with her even once? I haven't met and talked directly with her since she was discharged. To my wife and mother-in-law, I'm probably a demon of a man. Fortunately, while not an ally, my father-in-law seems to tell my wife you didn't have a husband like him. I'd rather he tell her she had a live-in boyfriend like the other man. Didn't your wife say she doesn't want a divorce or something? After being discharged, did your wife ever try to explain herself in an email or letter? My wife is against divorce. So at this rate it'll go to trial. I can't consider anything but divorce, and I may compromise on consolation money and such, but I won't budge on divorce. Conversely, my wife will pay the money for the affair but doesn't want a divorce. There were a few letters and they started arriving at my lawyer's office after I took refuge in the service department. This is just a poorly done letter of apology to smooth things over in this situation. I can give it to you if you want to read it. But it's not good for your mental health, so I'll just convey the contents verbally. I was told and had just the contents shared with me. It really was an apology letter. Like, I won't do it again. Sounds like a good lawyer. But do you think it's good that it ended with this result? Or do you think it would have been better if it had done with taking the consolation money from the guy at first? I'm just worried about this since I irresponsibly replied, "You're still fine, so return the money and sanction him." It's because I consulted that I got both sanctions and money. Since the guy himself didn't feel any pain just from piling up money, I believe this result now is the best. I'm grateful. Really, thank you. If I can officially divorce my wife, I'll come report then. And 2 months later. Long time no see. The other day, the divorce has successfully done. It was long. Just reporting. I'm thankful to everyone, thank you. Oh. You were doing well? Good work. That's all from the husband who had trouble with both sets of parents. I wonder if the idea of semi-living together with someone else while the husband is working alone and expecting to rebuild comes from DNA.